Welcome to the channel and welcome to Warhammer 40,000. Today the Tyranids versus the Orks on this overgrown, reclaimed city. But why are the Orks here? And why are the Tyranids here? The Orks have crashed on a nearby planet, a moon, and have come for parts. They need these generators to get back into space and back on track. The Tyranids have been attracted here by the psycho energies of these generators. It's disturbing their psychic telemetry. They need to destroy them to be able to continue on in their mission. So, Gib Smasher has sent word to part of his fleet to come to this city, knowing full well of the Tyranid presence, but desperate to get back into space. He has come to the planet to loot these generators. The Tyranid hive mind has also sent a vast swarm to the planet to destroy these inhibitors. So Steve has come down with his Tyranids. First time on the channel for them. Beautiful army. We'll be facing off in this chaotic close quarters battle here. Okay, so there are two objectives on the table. Obviously these two generators. We're not using the special rules for these as per the kit, but we are using the profiles. So toughness 6, 6 wounds, and 4+ save. And they are worth 2 points each. The Tyranids will gain an extra point for destroying them, and the Orks need to keep them alive for an extra point. So the game could sway quite well either way. But as tough as these generators are, I think the Orks are going to struggle to keep them alive, but we'll do our best. They need to get them off planet and into their ship so they can get out of here.
Alright everyone, this is my Tyranid army, Hive Fleet Jotun. Starting off with a brood of 20 termagants. They're modelled with devourers, but they're going to be flesh borers today. A brood of gene stealers. They've got just the standard rending claws, and they're led by a brood lord who has scything talons in addition to his rending claws. Unit of 23 Hormigants, absolutely no upgrades. Brood of Tyranid warriors, 5 with death spitters. We've got 1 with a venom cannon, and 1 is upgraded with a pair of bone swords. Pair of zoanthropes. We've got a brood of 6 raveners with scything talons and rending claws. Pair of venomthropes. My hive tyrant, he has a heavy venom cannon, lash whip and bone sword, regeneration. We've got the hive crone with the tentaclid missiles and the draw cannon. Big bad unit of Carnifexes. I might actually split these as a unit of 2 and 1 on his own. And we've got 2 with just scything talons, 1 with scything talons and crushing claws, and they've all got adrenal glands. And finally we have a Morlock.
Okay everyone, welcome to my 2000 points of Orks. On the left here we have the standard loadout for myself, kilocans with grotzukas, and as usual 2 squads of 30 boys with shooters, 4 big shooters in each, and boss knob with boss pole and power claw in each as well. Moving across, again, same as last time, 2 squads of 10 boys with shooters in trucks with reinforced rams, boss knob with boss pole and power claw, and a big shooter in each squad. Leading the army as usual is Gib Smasher. He is in mega armor. He has a lucky stick, an attack squig, and a power claw and twin link shooter. And accompanying him today is a pain boy with grot orderly, and they will be accompanied by 7 knobs with boss knob, power claw, boss pole, and one of them has a combi flamer. They're inside a truck with missile launcher. I know that is a battle wagon, but I'm using it as a truck today. I'll also note that they have heavy armor, and so do these 2 squads of 10 boys. Moving on, we have 3 custom mega cannons with their Gretchen crew. Each of them have a ammo runt with them, and I have a squad of Gretchen with runt herd and attack squig. And for the heavy support, I also have 2 Def Dreads with extra claws and a burner bomber. This one's new, you haven't seen this before. I haven't used it in many games before, but we'll see how it goes. It's got 6 extra burner missiles and the 2 burner bombs as well. And we'll see how that goes on the field today. But that is 2000 points of Orks. We'll go into setup and deployment. Okay, so here we are, we're all deployed. As it stands, the Orks have first turn. They deployed first. You can see them lined up along the entire board edge. And in reply, the Tyranids is set up primarily in one corner on the opposite end, with the exception of Tyranid warriors here on this side and the Morlock behind that building there. This side for the Orks, 30 boys there. We've got a truck with the 10 boys in it there, 2 Def Dreads, and the cannons here in the center covering this approach. I'm not sure how much that's going to be used, because all the Tyranids seem to be focusing their energy on this flank, where we've got the killer clans and the 2 trucks there with the warlord and the boys. So Tyranids over here, you've got Gene Stealers, you've got Carnifexes, you've got Zone Thropes, you've got the Flyer here, you've got Hormagaunts, Termagaunts, a whole lot all over here. And here's the other flank with the warriors. So, first turn is currently with the Orks. Steve would like to try and seize the initiative. Let's see what he can do. Not quite. We also need to roll for night fighting. I would love to have night fighting, and I think you probably would too. So we don't even have to roll, do we?
It's not.
No. Okay, it's night fighting. Fantastic. That means it covers my approach. Unfortunately, it covers his approach, but Orks aren't a shooting army, so that's not too bad. We'll go on to the Orks turn 1, and we'll see how we can go about dealing with this heavily left-hand flank Tyranid force. Okay, turn 1 for the Orks is over. It was a nice quick turn. Basically a lot of moving and very little shooting. So you can see All these guys have moved and run. That truck only moved 6 inches and then it shot later. The shooting only took a single wound off the warrior over there. Otherwise ineffectual. This other Death Dread ran up as well. The 2 trucks here came all the way around these buildings and over to here, so we're avoiding this flank of Tyranids over there and we're all moving across this way. The cannons here fired across to the Carnifex over there, and Steve passed all of his cover saves, which is pretty impressive. There was quite a few wounds, and all these units moved to the left across the table there. So you can see where we can see that this power node, or this generator here, is pretty well threatened by the Tyranids. I think turn 1 they'll be able to take it out, so we're going to save ourselves and see if we can protect this last one over here. Hopefully close to the end of the game we can go and capture the last one. Hopefully, that's the plan. So we're congregating on this side. It's the weakest Tyranid flank and the strongest for the Orks, so let's see what the reply is for the Tyranids for turn 1. Alright, so Tyranid turn 1 over. Another quick turn, a little bit more action this time around. So the entire swarm's moved up and they're replying to the Ork counter flank by heading around this side of the building there. So they're heading down the center. There's a contingent heading down the side here. A couple of Carnifexes made contact with the first power generator here. Almost killed it. 1 wound left. Pretty bad rolling for Steve, unfortunately. Left this power generator with 1 hull point or wound, whatever you want to call it, left, which is kind of disappointing. But at the same time, good for the Orks. It's a little bit of a delay that might help them out. So the Carnifex and the Warlord and the Gene Stealers have come down this center flank. They're staring down the barrels of the cannons right now, but it's still a very, very big threat coming down the center there. This flyer came through straight up with its drill cannon. It's drill cannon, and spat on these Ork boys, and actually killed 8 of them, so pretty acidic spit apparently. It melted it melted 8 Orks from that squad of 30, so they'll have to take a morale check, which I'll do now. And they're safe, which is good to know. In other news on this side of the table, the warriors stepped back a little. Very, very slow unit. They struggled through terrain a little bit over these walls here. So slow, but they're falling back, I assume, to keep some firepower on these units over here. Other than that, that is turn 1 for the Tyranids over? No? Ah, okay, yes, okay, so, excuse me, Paroxysm was cast by the Warlord onto the cannons here, and they are now ballistic skill 1, which is not a good thing to have here. And what was that? Feel no pain on the Okay, he also cast Feel No Pain on the Carnifex here. So that's going to be increasingly difficult to kill, but I do have some options. I do have a few units surrounding him. These are blasts, so they'll still be able to hit with the scatter dice, which is good. Other than that, that's Tyranid turn 1, and we'll go into Orks turn 2. We've got a flyer to come in this turn, so we'll try and figure out what we're going to do with that, and we'll get back to you. Alright, so Ork movement, it's already getting quite complicated. There's something I forgot to mention. There are some, what are they called?
Raveners.
Raveners in the building there. I had no idea they were there. So knowing that, I've held back my units just a little bit. I didn't run when I could have with all these units. Just holding back, holding the line a bit, keeping them together. There's still the Morlock to come up next turn, so I've got to consider that as well. Okay, so moved up just slightly with those units. Moved across from here with the battle wagon and the truck. These two trucks are in range with all the squads inside to that Carnifex. We've got these cannons that'll deal with the Carnifex as well. The flyer has come on, and that's targeting the Gene Stealers. I'm terrible with Tyranid names. And these killer cans are looking down at the Carnifex as well with their Grot Zookas. This unit, smaller than it started off with, is going to see if they can deal with some of these Hormagaunts that are coming up the flank there. I think for now these are a throwaway unit. I've got to start to slow down and thin the Tyranid lines on this side so I don't get sandwiched in. So we'll see how they go in combat there. I've still got shooting to do, so we'll go ahead and do that now. There's quite a lot to do, so we'll I'll update you when we're done. Alright, so Ork shooting phase for turn 2. Good and bad. The trucks and their squads firing through at this Carnifex only managed to take off 2 wounds. Not good enough, it's still got 2 left. So I might have to try and charge with the killer cans. I need a 9-inch charge there. Very, very good shooting from the burner bomber. Its missiles came through and wiped out 7 Gene Stealers, which is really, really good. That takes them down considerably and cleans out this area a little bit. Across here, no success against the Warriors. That's firing from this squad of boys who didn't run in the movement, in the shooting phase. Coming across here, these Ork boys actually cleaned up quite a few of these Hormagaunts here. There's only a few of them left, but it's still quite a charge. I'd say probably an 8-inch charge. Let's just check that. Okay, so we're looking at an 8-inch charge for the boys to get into combat there. It'd be good if they could. That'll basically take care of this squad, I believe, or it could swing the other way. They're quite good in combat. Apart from that, that was all the shooting. The killer cans did shoot through at the Carnifex as well, but made no progress there. They scattered too much and the saves were made by the Carnifex. So otherwise, we'll go into assaults. I'll try and get in with the killer cans and the boys over here as well. Thank you very much, Steve. Alrighty, so I need 9 for these killer cans. Yes! Oh, that's so satisfying. Okay, so that's 10 inches in there. That's enough. So we'll move those in. No Overwatch, obviously. There's no cheeky bastard, he says. Okay, and then across here with the boys, I need 8 inches, and I get a single dice reroll, which is nice. So 3 and a 1. No, so I'll reroll the 1. See if we can get a 6. It's a 5. That's 8 inches. Nicely done. I actually dropped that, but I'll count that as a roll. Ha! Okay, so we've got 2 combats. No Overwatch to do. I'll move them in and we'll get started. Alright, so here we are. This is a combat versus the Carnifex with the killer cans. We are both initiative 2, so Steve's going to roll up first. He needs 3s to hit and hits with all. Yep. And that's 3 utterly penetrating hits. Then roll for damage. Okay, so that's
3, 3, and 5.
Okay, 3, 3, and 5, so that's 3 hull points. So it'll be 1.5 kilocans gone, and a result of a 4 will be snapshots and no movement next phase. It'll be a 5. Yep, okay, weapon destroyed then. We'll work that out in a second, but kilocans will fight back. Initiative 2 as well. You get 3 attacks on the charge each. And here we go. Hitting on 4s. It's not too bad. What's that? It's 6 hits. And winning on 3s with strength 7, AP 2. I only need 2 of these to go through. And there we go, that's 3. So the Carnifex is dead. And we'll find the results of these. So it's at least one of these gone. One of them has a hull point left and will be a weapon destroyed. So on a 1, 2, or 3, it's the claw. It's the claw. Okay, so this one here loses his claw. And we'll go into the other assault phase on the other side. Okay, assault phase for turn 2 Orks is over. As you saw, the Carnifex died in the melee with the Killer Cans. Killer Cans lost 1 and a hull point on another, but they moved back, consolidated 5 inches. The boys squad over here met with the Hormagaunts and wiped them out. Very, very good phase for the Orks. So they've consolidated back 3 inches. Back towards their lines, away from this Tyranid horde here, which is looking a lot thinner than it was before. So good turn for the Orks, but there's still a lot of dangerous units on the table for the Tyranids. They have almost claimed one of their objectives, and they'll definitely do it this turn. So the Orks need to protect this side. It's their only chance of getting off-world and back online in space. So we'll see what happens next turn for Tyranids. Turn 2. Alrighty, Tyranids movement phase for turn 2. Tyranid reserves have arrived. Morlock has punched its way through the surface of the road there and destroyed almost entirely half of that unit of 30 boys. It broke through and killed 14 Orks instantly and is now there, poised, ready to cause some havoc in that quadrant there. Over here, the warriors moved around. They look like they're repositioning for some tactical reason, but the Raveners have come out from their hiding, very, very quickly moved to the center of the table, and they're threatening the units on the inside here. Poised to get in range of assault for the Killer Cans this turn. The Warlords moved through, and the remaining Gene Stealers, of course, and the Venom Throats there also. Over here, the Nids have moved through. The Carnifexes have left assault with the generator, deciding to leave that to the smaller units whilst they deal with the Ork boys. They should have no trouble in here, at least if not wiping them out, at least causing them to fail on morale at some point. Other than that, it's time for the psychic phase and shooting phase of the Tyranids. We'll go ahead and do that and get back to you. Alright, Tyranid shooting phase for turn 2 is over. Not too bad, a couple of exploding things, but otherwise it's a lot of movement for the Tyranids. So the Warlord fired through at the truck here, which is a old battle wagon. It did 1 glance and that was it. The Zone Thropes, however, fired through at the truck that was down here and killed 3 of the unit inside. They got out and they are not pinned, they passed, but that was the Zone Throats shooting through there. In other news, I don't think there was any other shooting. Oh yes, there was. The Tentaclids fired out of this this monstrous creature here, and one of them hit the flyer, I believe. It jinked one of them away, so he'll be snap shooting next turn, so no rockets. But I just found out that you can still do bombing runs after jinking. Who knew? So anyway, that's now a hull point down, and otherwise straight onto assaults for the Tyranids. Okay, so just an addendum to the psychic phase for the Tyranids. I didn't mention that the Raveners have Feel No Pain. He cast Paroxysm once on them, I denied it, and then used a different unit to cast Paroxysm on them again and succeeded. So they have Feel No... Oh, Catalyst? Okay, Catalyst, sorry. Okay, they tried to charge in the assault phase to the cans and failed, even with a reroll, unfortunately for them. However, over here, the 2 Carnifexes came through, assaulted the boys. I think there was about 20 boys, wiped them out, but a Carnifex died in the melee, and then he's consolidated around the corner there. Over here, the Termagants. So bad at Tyranid names. Termagants shot and assaulted the generator here and failed again to take the last wound off of that generator. So it's still alive. They do claim it though at this stage, but they haven't got the bonus for destroying it yet. Over here, there were no assaults made on this side. The Morlock is over here. He burst through in the phase prior, but he can't assault this turn. So we're going on to Orks turn 3. There's a lot of work for them to do. A lot of Tyranid units in very, very close range. So we need to start cleaning up this table a bit of the Tyranid horde to succeed, and then think about objectives later on. Okay, so let's go on to Orks turn 3. Okay, Ork, turn 3, movement and shooting. The movement is just a matter of manoeuvring around the threats. So the 2 Death Dreads here moved up to contest the position of that Morlock there. The Flyer moved over this building, dropped a bomb on the once present Raveners, and snap-fired at the warriors here. No wounds on them. He did a couple of wounds to the Raveners, but the rest of them died from fire from the cannons. The cannons with their blasts came through and instantly killed 5 of the 6 of them. Pretty good shooting there. Otherwise, pretty uneventful. 2 wounds were taken off the Morlock here from the various boys and grots around this area here. And apart from that, that was it from the shooting phase for the Orks. Going to go into assaults. So we've got assaults here. I'm pretty sure that's the only one. Okay, so we'll go on to that and we'll see what happens. Hopefully we can wipe him out. Okay, so it's a foregone conclusion there. The 2 Death Dreads went straight in. Steve decided to smash with the Morlock, so the Death Dreads went first, and they wiped him out, causing enough wounds to get him off the table. They consolidated a couple of inches, and that's it for the Orks turn 3. We've gone to Tyranids turn 3, their movement. Hard to say at this stage what's going to happen next. It's kind of teetering on the Orks side at the moment, but having said that, the Tyranids do control this objective. They're probably going to wreck it this turn, so there's +1 to them. But the Orks easily have this objective in their hands. So it's kind of hinging either way at the moment. We'll see what happens next. There's a lot of scary units coming up on the center of the table here. We'll see how the Orks can survive and how well the Tyranids can eat this turn. Alright, Tyranid turn 3 movement. Psychic phase and shooting done. Movement, the Flyer came across, it ended up flaming or spitting drooling on some of the Orks here. It killed 8, and they need to do a test. Here we go, and they're safe. Across here, all these units move forward. The lone Ravener is coming up. It looks like it's going to assault these, along with the rest of the units here. Nice bundle of joy there. The Hive Tyrant actually fired through and did nothing to the cannons. He also cast Paroxysm on the killer cans here. They are now -1 weapon skill, ballistic skill. And someone cast the horror on these boys, and they are now pinned. They failed their test. Warriors moved up. They fired up at the flyer and took off a hull point, and it is now snap firing for the next turn. And the Carnifex moved across here. It looks like it's going to charge the killer cans there, which should be able to take them out pretty quick. Over here, again, no damage. Yeah, no, I've already said it, snapshots. Yeah, these guys attacked again the generator and could not take off that last wound. It saved on a 4+, the only wound they made. Yeah, so I jinked with the flyer, but he also caused a vehicle stunned result on that flyer. So it's going to fly off next turn. Okay, apart from that, that's it for shooting. We'll go on to assaults. There's plenty of assaults to come. I think there's one over here. These Gaunts are going to attack again, and of course the Ravener here as well to come through at the cannons there. So we'll move on to assaults for Tyranid turn 3. Alright, so assault phase for the Tyranids is over. They managed to finally destroy this generator here, so the +1 is theirs, regardless of whether they captured this objective at the end of the game. Huge explosions erupted out of their plasma. No one's been hit in the explosion. We haven't played that rule, but that would have been a cool effect. Okay, in other news, the Carnifex here has charged straight through the unit of killer cans. Didn't even swing its weapons. Its huge crushing claws just tore them to bits on the way through with its D3 Hammer of Wrath attacks. Over here, the Hive Tyrant came in to the assault against the cannons there, and the last Ravener as well. Wiped them out, caused enough wounds to make them run away, and wiped them out from there. That's it for assaults. It's looking very, very bleak mid-game. We're just about to turn to Orks turn 4, so we're definitely at the midpoint, potentially even beyond, depending on the length of the game. So as for the Orks, we've still got these units down here. We're still claiming this objective. We've still got the Warlord and his unit in here, and also a unit of heavy armor boys here as well, coming around the flank. But otherwise, this entire side of the table now belongs to the Tyranids. The flyer's got to fly off next turn. So it's pretty much 1 for 1 at this stage, but it could swing either way. We'll have to see what happens. Orks turn 4 coming up. Okay, movement and shooting for Orks turn 4 has been pretty average, pretty lackluster. So all the units here that had range to the Ravener over there fired, but only managed to make 1 wound on that Ravener. So it's still got 2 remaining wounds left. I did declare a war, so these guys disembarked from their transport and ran 6 inches in the shooting phase. they're poised to take that the Hive Tyrant there. So I've got a squad of knobs there, and also the Pain Boy in tow. And Gibbs Smasher has stayed on the transport. He obviously can't run with his mega armor. And over here, this transport moved forward and disembarked all its units, and they are going into that Carnifex to try and take that out. And then we have free reign to try and come around here and take control of this area. So it's looking good for Orks. If we can pull off this assault phase coming up, I think it'll be quite good for them. The flyer flew off, that'll come on next turn. But remembering these guys are pinned, so they won't be doing much this turn at all. Okay, so we'll go into assaults. We'll see how the Orks can do. I've got high hopes, and I'm pretty happy that these knobs are getting into contact as well. They always fight well. Alright, so Ork assault phase turn 4 is over, and it went exactly as planned for the Orks. Warlord killed the Hive Tyrant, was brought down in the end by a few attacks from the knobs, but in the end the Power Claw took it and took the last 3 wounds off it itself. So really good assault phase. And then over this side, the boys here took out the last Carnifex on this side as well, and they've consolidated around the corner to threaten this unit. So really good turnout for the Orks here. It's starting to swing the other way, I feel. I'm excited to see what happens next. Hopefully we can survive a bit longer and threaten both objectives. Hopefully we can end up with a win. So Warlord kill for the Orks. So we'll go on to Tyranids turn 4 and see how they reply. Okay, Tyranid turn 4, movement, shooting, and we've started assaults as well. So as for movement, the flyer came through, and these units moved up for the shooting. These units moved forward, and they're now in assault. So the Ravener and the Gaunts there against this unit of boys with heavy armor. Okay, so the Zoanthropes tried to summon Warp Lance, and they failed. However, Paroxysm was cast onto this unit here of knobs, so they are striking at Weapon Skill 1 and Initiative 1. Ballistic Skill 1, sorry. So that's about it. We're on to assaults. The Gene Stealers are through into assault there. They took no damage on Overwatch, and these units both took no damage on Overwatch, and we'll go and fight these and see what happens. Good luck to the Orks. I don't think they're going to survive this. At least these 2 squads here, so we'll see what happens in the assault phase. Okay, Tyranid turn 4 assault phase is over. Quite obviously there are no Orks left here. The Gaunts overran the boys, and they were run down. Over this side, the Gene Stealers came through and killed a couple of knobs. I failed, but the mob rule kept me together, and we are ongoing fighting over here. So on to Ork turn 5, coming towards the end of the game potentially. Need to start thinking about endgame. Not sure what to do here. All my units on this side of the table are dead or very close to dying. Still got an asset here, still got Gibbs Smasher, and all these assets here, so I think as long as we protect this objective here, we should be okay. We'll see how we go, see if we can rack up some more points. Alright, another successful assault phase for the Orks. The war boss came through, Gip Smasher. He made contact with the Gene Stealers and wiped them out all by himself. Strength 10, instant death to the Broodlord, and then all the wounds passed over to the remaining Gene Stealers. He's consolidated up with the Knobs, heading towards the Warriors here, who actually took out 4 of the 5 boys on this side, and the Power Claw took out only 1 warrior in return. We're going on to turn 5 for the Tyranids. Not much left on the table for them, and a lot of them are still in combat. So we'll see what they can pull out of their hat. Alright, Tyranids turn 5. Okay, so coming into Tyranids turn 5, Steve has decided to concede. He doesn't see a future for the Nids here, but we're also running low on time and brain power. So he has decided to concede on the condition he gets to do one thing, and that is a psychic phase only. So he's going to go straight to the psychic phase, and he's going to use these 2 zone thropes to try and instant kill my warlord, who is still on his own. He's not part of that squad of knobs, so he can be instant killed by their warp lancers, strength 10 AP 1. I believe. So we'll see what happens here. He's going to roll up right in front of us. We'll see what happens. Pass on 3, and I can't possibly even deny that. I've only got 2 dice. So that's a pass. Let's see if he hits. 2 1s, please. 2 6s. Oh god. Oh, that's excellent.
Wound.
2s to wound. Instant double death. You couldn't write this. You could not write it. So he's taken the warlord in his concede and blown him to smithereens. The rest of the Tyranids, I don't know, do they decompose or something? Or they run off? God knows. They've turned around and gone straight back for the digestion pools. A little ways away. But that's the game. Success for the Orks through concede, but I think they would have had it regardless. So if we went on to turn 6, these Death Dreads would have come through, taken care of the remaining units in the centre of the table here.
Tied. Let's see if the game would have ended after this turn.
Okay, so let's see. No, it wouldn't have ended. Okay. The Orks have won. Another victory for them, which is good to see on the channel. I hope you like the terrain today. We've gone away from the desert, come to the city. It looks quite cool. Really like this terrain. Stay tuned and we'll see what the next battle can muster. Hopefully a different army this time. We won't be playing with the Orks. It will be my Imperial Guard that I haven't used yet. Though you have seen him in one of our battles before. So we'll end it here. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this battle. We did, but it's Horde versus Horde. It's a long game. It's hard on our brains. Bring on 8th edition, looking forward to that, so that we can have a more simpler, less brain strain kind of game that 40k should be. Okay, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on the channel. Cheers. See ya.